Mistress gets pregnant. Millionaire's wife takes off her wedding ring and leaves, making him regret. They said Raymond Lockwood had it all: an awe-inspiring fortune, a waterfront mansion overlooking the pristine Hamptons coast, and a wife so gracious and beautiful she seemed plucked from a dream. When news broke that his beloved wife, Cassandra Lockwood, was pregnant at last, society applauded the Lockwoods as the perfect power couple. Yet behind the opulent parties and careful smiles lay growing suspicions and a damning secret. As rumors swirled of another woman and another pregnancy, Cassandra's world came crashing down. One fateful night, she slipped off her wedding ring and walked away. In that moment, Raymond realized he was about to lose everything he once believed unshakable. Raymond Lockwood was a man who seemed born to conquer. At just 38, he had built Lockwood Enterprises into a billion-dollar real estate conglomerate, with properties dotting Manhattan, London, and even Dubai. His status as a financial titan guaranteed him invitations to exclusive galas and champagne-fueled yacht parties. Wherever he went, camera lenses followed, capturing his polished smile and impeccably tailored suits. His wife, Cassandra Lockwood née Harrington, brought even greater pedigree to their union. She was the youngest daughter of Edward Harrington, a respected philanthropist known for funding children's hospitals throughout the country. Tall, elegant, and consistently kind, Cassandra dedicated most of her days to charitable causes. People adored her and admired the couple's synergy, he the ambitious mogul, she the graceful philanthropist. Together, they seemed invincible. The Lockwoods' grand estate in the Hamptons was an architectural marvel. Its ocean-facing facade gleamed white under the sun. Tall windows spilled light across polished marble floors. Manicured gardens, lined with roses and jasmine, surrounded a sparkling pool where high-profile gatherings often took place. On weekends, Cassandra hosted fundraisers for local charities, while Raymond mesmerized potential investors with stories of his next big development. Their life appeared straight out of a fairy tale. Yet, beneath the gilded surface, tension simmered. Raymond's relentless schedule often left Cassandra dining alone, the mansion's cavernous rooms echoing her quiet footsteps. She would stay up late, nursing tea by the library fireplace, waiting for her husband to return from urgent business meetings. On more than one occasion, she found unexplained credit card receipts and text messages that seemed too personal for a mere colleague. Cassandra dismissed her concerns for the longest time, believing, or wanting to believe, that Raymond was simply overwhelmed by responsibilities. After all, she had witnessed her own father labor endlessly for philanthropic endeavors. She told herself that such drive, while lonely to endure, was exactly what made Raymond successful. But the day Cassandra discovered she was pregnant, her hopes soared. She imagined Raymond holding their child, proud and protective. She pictured a future where family came first, where the swirling rumors of his late nights and suspicious business lunches would vanish like smoke. For a moment, she almost forgot her anxiety. In truth, the cracks in their fairy tale marriage were deepening, waiting for the smallest pressure to splinter everything. Cassandra, carrying new life within her, had no idea just how much heartbreak lay on the horizon. And Raymond, complacent in his belief that all was under control, failed to notice the storm that would soon shatter his carefully crafted world. Raymond first met Heather Williams at an exclusive fundraiser in Manhattan, hosted by a mutual acquaintance, the socialite Sarah Lockwood Price, no relation to Raymond, though people often joked about it. Tall and striking with raven black hair, Heather turned heads wherever she moved. She claimed to be a freelance public relations consultant. In truth, she specialized in enhancing images of CEOs, sometimes by massaging the truth, other times by plunging headlong into ethical gray areas. That night, the crowd mingled in a vast penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city skyline. Cassandra was absent, engaged in her own charity event across town. Raymond, freshly off a lucrative property deal in London, sought an evening of champagne and conversation. He noticed Heather the moment she entered in a figure-hugging black gown. Their eyes locked, and he found himself intrigued by her brazen confidence. They exchanged polite introductions, but from the very start, a current of flirtation buzzed between them. Heather laughed a bit too easily at Raymond's quips, touched his arm as she spoke. She boasted about her knack for crisis management, having rescued the reputations of top executives. Raymond, accustomed to people fawning over him, felt a novel sense of thrill. Heather didn't treat him merely as a business success story. She treated him like a man she could captivate. Her real motives were more strategic. Heather had researched Raymond's empire weeks prior. She knew Lockwood Enterprises was expanding aggressively, meaning big publicity budgets and potential new clients for her. She eyed Raymond as an asset, but also found something intoxicating about his mixture of confidence and reserved vulnerability. In the following weeks, under the pretext of discussing PR strategies for his next venture, they met for lunches at upscale bistros. Polite conversation soon turned personal. Raymond confessed his frustrations. His wife's philanthropic focus sometimes overshadowed his business brand, and how lonely it felt traveling without a supportive partner by his side. Heather played the role of understanding confidant, listening with sympathetic eyes. Before long, the lunches turned into late dinners, then hush-hush weekend trips under the guise of business. If a flicker of guilt lurked in Raymond's mind, he buried it by telling himself Cassandra was too busy with her charities to even miss him. Heather's bold charm offered an escape from the pressures of being a real estate mogul and the perfect husband. He had no inkling how disastrously it would unravel. Heather, ambitious to a fault, saw an opportunity to entrench herself into a lifestyle of luxury and influence. And for all his caution, Raymond failed to notice the quicksand forming around him. He was too enthralled by the thrill of forbidden passion to see that it might cost him the very life he cherished. After sharing the news of her pregnancy, Cassandra expected Raymond to adjust his schedule, maybe join her at a prenatal checkup or a simple Sunday brunch. Instead, his traveling increased. A week after announcing they were expecting, he flew to Chicago to finalize a shopping complex deal. Then, not even 2 days after returning, he claimed an emergency in Los Angeles demanded his immediate presence. Cassandra found herself alone in that vast Hamptons estate, the staff carefully tiptoeing around her. Everyone sensed her sadness, though none dared speak of it. She confided occasionally in her longtime friend, Marjorie Lawson, who had been her college roommate. Marjorie urged Cassandra to confront Raymond about the growing distance. One evening, after days of phone calls that ended in tension, Cassandra decided to surprise Raymond by driving to his Manhattan condo once his bachelor pad, now rarely used except for nights when he claimed late meetings. With her heart pounding, she arrived unannounced. The doorman, Paul, recognized her instantly. The flicker of uncertainty in his eyes warned her that something was amiss. She found the condo unoccupied, but the signs were clear. A half-empty bottle of perfume in the bathroom she never used, stray black hairs on a pillow, and an appointment card for a local spa registered under Heather Williams' name. Cassandra's stomach knotted. She walked through the rooms in a daze, tears threatening to spill. She never imagined she'd find such blatant evidence of another woman. Returning to the Hamptons, Cassandra locked herself in the library, tears streaming down her face. The fear she had suppressed for months was now undeniable. She was pregnant with the child of a man who might be betraying her, yet she couldn't bring herself to confront him over the phone. She decided she needed more proof, or at least an in-person conversation, before accusing her husband of adultery. Days turned into nights of restless sleep. Cassandra busied herself with charity events, wearing a brave smile for the cameras. Donors congratulated her on the pregnancy, while she endured an aching sense of betrayal she couldn't reveal. She tried calling Raymond, but he always seemed too busy, promising to catch up when he was less swamped. Alone in their elegantly furnished bedroom, she touched her growing belly, whispering apologies to the child for the turmoil swirling around them. She clung to a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, she was mistaken, that the suspicious evidence had an innocent explanation. Deep down, though, she felt the sting of heartbreak. She feared that the man she had devoted her life to was slipping away, tethered to someone else in a web of lies that threatened to poison everything she held dear. While Cassandra wrestled with doubt, Manhattan's social circles began to hum with rumors. Lockwood Enterprises hosted a black-tie gala at the Museum of Modern Art, intending to showcase Raymond's philanthropic side. Cassandra, set on supporting her husband, arrived in a flowing burgundy gown, despite feeling emotionally raw. She was 6 months pregnant now, the gentle curve of her stomach noticeable beneath the silk. Raymond had promised to be her escort that evening, yet, as she searched the crowd, he was nowhere in sight. Dazzling chandeliers cast reflections on polished floors, while waiters glided among guests offering champagne. Cassandra stood awkwardly near a sculpture installation, the only one unaccompanied. It was Stephanie Moore, a fellow philanthropist, who hesitantly approached. "Cassandra, dear," Stephanie began, "I'm so sorry, but I must ask. Is everything all right between you and Raymond?" Caught off guard, Cassandra gave a polite, forced smile. "Yes, of course. Why do you ask?" Stephanie's brows furrowed in concern. "I overheard something disturbing. People say Raymond's been seen around town with a woman, Heather Williams perhaps. I'm sure it's just nasty gossip, but I wanted to check on you." Cassandra's heart hammered. She struggled to maintain her composure. "Thank you for your concern," she managed. "I'm sure it's just business." But Stephanie's sympathetic expression suggested she knew it was far more than that. Just then, the hush in the gala deepened. Raymond strode in on the arm of Heather Williams. Cameras flashed as the pair descended the spiral staircase. Heather wore a sleek black cocktail dress, her arm looped possessively through Raymond's. Gasps spread among the onlookers, and Cassandra felt her stomach lurch. She stood frozen, tears prickling at the corners of her eyes. Spotting Cassandra from the balcony, Raymond's confident stride faltered for a fraction of a second. Heather, noticing, tightened her grip. Instead of rushing to Cassandra's side, he led Heather to a group of board members. Waves of shock cascaded through the crowd. Many recognized Cassandra pregnant, the rightful Miss S. Lockwood standing alone, unable to bear the spectacle. Cassandra left, brushing past stunned guests. Outside, a cold wind bit at her cheeks. She slid into her car, trembling. She had come seeking clarity, but the image of her husband escorting Heather left no room for doubt. The rumors were real. Her worst fears were confirmed. Back at the estate that night, Cassandra cried until she had no tears left. She reread the vow. She and Raymond had exchanged, in good times and bad, for better or worse. The words now felt hollow. In that surreal moment, heartbreak crystallized into resolve. The man she loved had betrayed her publicly, and she could no longer pretend everything was fine. The seeds of confrontation were sown, though she had no idea how explosive the confrontation might become. Amid the fallout from the gala scandal, Heather Williams reveled in the attention, though she played innocent if confronted. Tabloids swooped in, salivating at the sensational story, pregnant wife abandoned for PR consultant. People devoured every scrap of gossip. Lockwood Enterprises saw a dip in its stock price from the negative publicity. Still, Heather managed to maintain her composure. Her motivations were complicated. She enjoyed the wealthy lifestyle, yes, but she also enjoyed the power trip of being with a high-profile man. Yet, as she visited her doctor one morning, an unexpected shift in her own life would further complicate matters. Heather was pregnant. Sitting in a private exam room, she stared at the ultrasound monitor in stunned silence. She had come in suspecting a simple flu or exhaustion. The doctor's announcement left her reeling. In an instant, the ambitious scheme to attach herself to Raymond, once a strategic business affair, took on a far more personal dimension. The baby meant leverage, especially if Cassandra was also pregnant. Heather recognized how volatile the situation could become. That evening, she confronted Raymond in his Manhattan condo. He had been pacing the living room, phone in hand, trying to manage damage control for Lockwood Enterprises. The moment Heather arrived, her tense demeanor told him something was off. "Raymond, we need to talk," she said, voice trembling slightly. He exhaled, massaging his temples. "Heather, this is terrible timing. The board is furious. The tabloids are relentless." She cut him off. "I'm pregnant." She held out the ultrasound printout. The words hung in the air like a thunderclap. Raymond felt as if the floor had given way beneath him. He stared at the image, mind racing. Cassandra was pregnant at home, likely heartbroken. And now Heather, his mistress, was carrying his child too? A maelstrom of guilt, fear, and confusion battered him. "Are you sure?" he whispered, scanning Heather's face. She nodded. Positive. He sank onto the sofa, burying his face in his hands. He struggled to process the magnitude. If this news reached the public, the scandal would intensify tenfold. More importantly, what would Cassandra do once she learned he was expecting a child with another woman? Heather, sensing her advantage, placed a hand on his shoulder. "You have to support me and our baby," she said softly, trying to play on his sense of responsibility. "Whatever that means for us, or for Cassandra." Raymond couldn't answer. Tension weighed on every breath. He had trapped himself in a double betrayal that offered no easy escape. In that haunting silence, he knew his life would never be the same. The vow he had once cherished with Cassandra had been shattered by his own hand, and now the repercussions threatened to destroy more than just their marriage. Meanwhile, Cassandra's heartbreak had reached a boiling point. A week had passed since the gala, and Raymond hadn't called or attempted a genuine explanation. She occupied her days finalizing details for a new children's hospital wing her father had sponsored, but each philanthropic meeting felt hollow now. She was going through the motions. It was at a routine prenatal checkup that she had a moment of clarity. She lay back, listening to the steady whoosh-whoosh of the fetal heartbeat through the Doppler device. Despite everything, the rhythm was strong and comforting. Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced herself to stay composed. That evening, she sat alone in the mansion's sunroom, gazing at the horizon where the ocean met the sky. Her father, Edward Harrington, had come to visit, concerned by the swirling rumors. He found Cassandra stoic, her face illuminated by the fiery sunset. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Are you all right, my dear?" Cassandra inhaled, her voice soft. "I'm alive, father, but it hurts. I never imagined Raymond could do something so public, so cruel." Edward's usually calm demeanor darkened. He had nurtured a kind affection for Raymond, seeing him as a man of ambition. "If he can't appreciate you," Edward said quietly, "then he doesn't deserve you. But what about the baby?" Cassandra pressed a hand against her bump, tears threatening. "That's where I'm torn. I want my child to have a father, but not one who publicly parades another woman. I can't keep living in denial." Edward nodded gravely, offering unwavering support. "Whatever you decide, you have my full backing. Whether you choose to fight for your marriage or walk away, I will stand by you. Just promise me you'll protect yourself and that little one." Hearing her father's words was like a key turning in a lock. Cassandra realized she was done waiting for Raymond to clarify, done hoping for an apology that might never come. The baby's well-being and her own dignity had to come first. This marriage, once the pinnacle of her happiness, was now a source of endless pain. She spent that night awake, her decision crystallizing. As dawn approached, she rose to pack a small suitcase. She carefully folded a few maternity clothes, personal documents, and the wedding photos she could manage to look at without breaking down. Then, with trembling hands, she slid her diamond wedding ring off her finger. Once a symbol of eternal devotion, it now felt like a mockery of what was real. Placing the ring on her bedside table, Cassandra exhaled. She was leaving. She didn't know what life would look like from this point, but anything was better than enduring such betrayal. The morning sun gilded the horizon, and though her heart ached fiercely, she felt the stirrings of a newfound sense of freedom. Raymond might regret his choices, but her path was now illuminated by the promise of self-preservation and the hope of a better tomorrow for her and her unborn child. Cassandra rose in the darkness before dawn, unable to sleep as the weight of heartbreak bore down on her chest. She lay there for what felt like hours, replaying the moments that led her to this point, Raymond's secretive behavior, the rumors, the gala where he'd appeared with another woman. All those nights of unanswered questions had finally coalesced into one certainty: she had to leave. Though her heart still pounded with sadness, an undercurrent of resolve now guided her. She slipped from the bed and flicked on a small lamp, illuminating the spacious bedroom that once felt so warm and inviting. The glow fell across the wedding photos perched on the mantel. In one, Raymond beamed at her with undisguised devotion. She lifted the frame and stared, a lump forming in her throat. Was it all a lie, or had it simply died over time? She remembered her father's gentle reminder, "Protect yourself and the baby first." That thought fortified her resolve. A hush blanketed the mansion. Even the wind outside seemed to pause in solemn anticipation. As quietly as possible, she pulled out a medium-sized suitcase, placing it on a bench near the closet. Her hands trembled while folding clothes, a few maternity outfits, soft sweaters, comfortable shoes. Next went her prenatal vitamins, a stack of medical records, and a small velvet box containing personal keepsakes. She paused over the box. Inside was a favorite necklace she wore on her honeymoon, a reminder of happier days. Now it felt like a relic from another life. Cassandra glanced at the bedside table. There sat her diamond wedding ring, glimmering faintly in the lamplight. She had removed it the night before, after weeks of agonizing about what it symbolized. Her gaze lingered on it, her chest tightening. That ring had once embodied Raymond's promises. Now it reflected a betrayal too painful to ignore. She whispered a silent goodbye to that chapter of her life, carefully closing the suitcase and stepping away. The staff had been discreetly supportive ever since the scandal broke in the tabloids. They sensed her distress, their usual cheer subdued by concern. So it was no surprise to find Lucinda Perez, the long-serving housekeeper, waiting near the hallway, eyes brimming with quiet sympathy. Cassandra managed a sad smile, pressing a gentle hand to the older woman's shoulder. "I'll be in touch," she said softly. "Thank you for everything." Lucinda nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "We'll miss you, Mrs. Lockwood. Please look after yourself and the baby." In the foyer, the old grandfather clock chimed 5 times, echoing through the empty corridors. Outside, dawn was still a hint of pale light on the horizon. Harrison, the longtime family driver, stood by the door, expression solemn. He had loaded Cassandra's suitcase into the sleek town car, leaving the trunk open in case she changed her mind at the last minute. Cassandra paused on the threshold of the grand front doors. She closed her eyes, inhaling the scent of salt air drifting from the nearby ocean. This was the home she had once dreamed of filling with children's laughter, the place where she and Raymond had hosted glittering parties and spent cozy nights by the fireplace. The recollection knifed through her heart, yet only steeled her determination further. She deserved honesty, respect, and if Raymond couldn't offer those, she had no choice but to leave. Stepping outside, she found the early morning chill bracing. She wrapped a light shawl around her shoulders. Harrison opened the car's rear door, and she sank into the seat, exhaling in quiet relief. The engine started with a low rumble, and they began to roll down the long driveway flanked by manicured hedges and rose bushes. Suddenly, headlights appeared at the far end of the path, fast approaching. Anxiety lanced through Cassandra's chest. She recognized the sleek sports car in an instant. Raymond. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. She considered ordering Harrison to keep driving, but the possibility that they might collide made her signal him to halt. Within moments, Raymond's car screeched to a stop alongside them, gravel kicking up in small clouds. He scrambled out, hair disheveled, shirt slightly rumpled, as if he hadn't slept. His eyes found Cassandra through the tinted window. The look on his face was pure desperation. "Cassandra," he called, voice echoing in the hushed dawn. "Please, roll down the window. Let me talk to you." She hesitated. Everything in her screamed to just drive off, but she also felt the baby stir inside her, a reminder that, for better or worse, Raymond was the father of her child. She relented, pressing the button to lower the window a few inches. Cold air rushed in. Raymond bent to meet her gaze, breathing hard. "I got here as soon as I could. I heard from Lucinda that you were leaving. Don't go. We need to talk." "Talk?" she repeated bitterly. "After you humiliated me in front of the entire city, after you spent weeks ignoring my calls and standing me up at events, you think we can just talk it out?" His eyes flickered with remorse. "I know I messed up. I swear, nothing was how it looked. Heather, she doesn't mean anything compared to you." Cassandra's voice trembled with anger and heartbreak. "Compared to me? She's carrying your child, isn't she? Or is that rumor another twisted half-truth?" Raymond blanched, confirming everything. His silence said what words could not. Cassandra felt a sting behind her eyes. Tears threatened to spill, but she fought them back, refusing to show more vulnerability. "You've made your choice," she whispered. "It's time I made mine." He reached for her hand through the open window, but she pulled away before he could touch her. "Don't leave like this," he pleaded. "Let me fix it. I'll do whatever it takes. You have to believe me." Cassandra shook her head, struggling to maintain composure. "Believe you," she repeated, incredulous. "You left me to attend a gala with another woman. You let me find out about your affair through rumors and tabloids. Now you want me to believe you can fix it? Tell me, Raymond, how exactly?" His face crumpled, words failing him. The confident veneer of the real estate mogul was gone. She saw only raw regret in his eyes, a reflection of the heartbreak he'd caused. The baby kicked, as though sensing her turmoil, and Cassandra placed a protective hand on her belly. The gesture didn't go unnoticed. Raymond swallowed hard. "Cassandra, for the baby's sake, give me a chance. I love you, and I love our child." She cut him off, tears finally slipping down her cheeks. "Don't you dare talk about love. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done all this. You wouldn't have paraded Heather around, turning our marriage into a sideshow." His shoulders slumped, defeat etched into every line of his posture. "I know, but I can change, please." Cassandra drew in a sharp breath. A swirl of heartbreak, anger, and faint nostalgia washed over her. She recalled how he once made her laugh, how safe she once felt in his arms, but the memory was overshadowed by the reality of the last few months. Love wasn't enough anymore. Trust had been shattered, perhaps beyond repair. She spoke softly, voice laden with finality. "It's too late. I can't stay here. I need distance from you, from all of this. And if I'm ever going to raise our child in peace, I have to prioritize my own well-being." Raymond opened his mouth, but the driver, sensing her distress, gently pressed the accelerator. The car began rolling forward. Panicked, Raymond stepped back. "Cassandra, wait!" Their eyes locked one last time through the cracked window. Cassandra pressed a hand to her mouth to stifle a sob, then turned away, letting the tears fall freely as they drove off. She didn't look back. She couldn't. The heartbreak radiating from him matched her own, but it didn't change the fact that he had crossed an unforgivable line. As the town car disappeared down the winding driveway, dawn's light crested the horizon, painting the Hamptons' estate in a gentle golden glow. Left behind, Raymond stood in the gravel, shoulders slumped, staring after the vehicle until it vanished. The chill in the morning air felt sharper now, a painful reminder that his wife, and with her, the life he took for granted, had just slipped through his fingers. In that still moment, with the echoes of Cassandra's anguish lingering in the air, Raymond finally grasped the magnitude of his actions. Regret surged within him, but it came too late. She was gone. The wedding ring she'd once cherished, left behind on her bedside table, and all he could do was watch helplessly as the car carried away everything he once believed was secure. In the wake of Cassandra's departure, the Hamptons' mansion felt haunted. Raymond wandered the silent halls, overshadowed by guilt. Lucinda and the other staff averted their eyes, offering polite greetings but making no attempts at small talk. Newspapers piled up at the doorstep with front-page headlines about the scandal. Millionaire mogul's double pregnancy scandal shocks the Hamptons. Instead of returning to Manhattan, Raymond locked himself away in his study. He ignored phone calls from board members, text messages from Heather, and even a concerned email from Cassandra's father. He had never known such an all-consuming sense of dread, each passing hour without Cassandra's presence or warmth gnawed at him. Memories assaulted him, Cassandra's laughter echoing through the garden parties, her hand slipping into his as they strolled along the beach, her unwavering support at every investor dinner. He remembered the moment he learned she was pregnant, how she had looked at him with hope shining in her eyes. He had taken it all for granted, sacrificing those precious moments for fleeting thrills with Heather. Now, the harsh reality left him feeling hollow. When hunger finally forced him out of his study one night, Lucinda timidly approached with a prepared meal. "You must eat, Mr. Lockwood," she said. "Miss S. Lockwood would want you healthy." Her words cut him. Cassandra was the only Miss S. Lockwood, yet she was gone, not even picking up calls from him. He gave Lucinda a tight nod. "Thank you," he muttered. Has Cassandra called here by any chance?" Lucinda's expression softened. "Not that I know of, sir." He trudged back into the study, appetite gone. The meal sat untouched. On the desk, among scattered business documents, lay Cassandra's wedding ring. She had left it behind, a silent testament that she no longer believed in the vows it symbolized. Raymond picked it up, turning the glittering diamond in his fingers. It felt cold, like a verdict of condemnation on his betrayal. That night, sleep eluded him. Each time he closed his eyes, he pictured Cassandra, tears in her eyes, telling him she couldn't live a lie. The memory of her voice, "I'm done," replayed relentlessly in his mind. For the first time in his life, the unstoppable entrepreneur felt powerless. No boardroom tactic or cunning strategy could fix the devastation he had caused in his own home. As the sky lightened into dawn, he realized one thing with blinding clarity: he was truly, deeply sorry. But sorrow alone would not bring Cassandra back. If she ever considered forgiving him, it would take something far more substantial than regret. The question tormenting him was whether he could prove worthy of her trust again, or if that chance had sailed the moment she slipped off her ring and walked away forever. Days turned into a week without any word from Cassandra. Frantic, Raymond reached out to her father, Edward Harrington, only to be met with a polite but chilly statement: "Cassandra is safe and does not wish to communicate with you right now. Please respect her decision." That stung, especially coming from a man who once sang Raymond's praises. Raymond even tried contacting Marjorie Lawson, Cassandra's close friend, leaving voicemails filled with urgent pleas. Marjorie, the first need to see Cassandra. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her anything. Just let me speak to her. None were returned. He began to fear that she might have left the state or even the country. Finally, a lead surfaced from an unlikely source, Philip Marshall, an old friend of the Harrington family who had always harbored a slight distrust toward Raymond. They bumped into each other at a midtown cafe. Raymond, seeing Philip about to head out, swallowed his pride and approached. "Philip, please, I just want to know if Cassandra is okay," Raymond begged, voice strained. Philip hesitated, face etched with disapproval. "You have some nerve showing yourself after humiliating her like that. But for what it's worth, she's fine. She's taken a room at a discreet location. Don't ask me where, I won't tell you." Raymond's shoulders slumped in relief that at least she was safe. But the second wave of realization stung. She was determined to avoid him. "I need to see her," he said. "I need to tell her face to face that I regret everything. I want to fix this." Philip's expression softened just a fraction. "Raymond, it's not about what you want. Cassandra's carrying your child, and you shattered her trust. She needs time and space. You think you can just barge in with an apology and all will be forgiven." "I know, but—" Raymond stammered, tears threatening at the corners of his eyes. "I've made the biggest mistake of my life. Please, Philip. If you can pass a message along, I'd do anything to make it right." After a heavy pause, Philip gave him a slip of paper. "Write your message. I'll see if she's open to hearing it." Then, with one last scornful look, he was gone. That night, Raymond composed a heartfelt letter, his handwriting shaky. He confessed his weaknesses, his betrayal, and his immense remorse. He outlined how he would step away from Heather, how he'd do anything for another chance at being a husband and father. He sealed the letter, pressing Cassandra's wedding ring into the envelope as a token of his sincerity. All he could do was hope that Philip would deliver it, and that Cassandra might find a shred of empathy left for him. Sleep came in fitful bursts, haunted by the possibility that his letter might be too little, too late, and that the next time he saw Cassandra, it might be in divorce court. While Raymond was spiraling in regret, Heather Williams found herself facing her own crisis. She was several weeks pregnant and, in her eyes, entirely alone. Raymond had all but vanished from her life after Cassandra left. Calls to his phone went unanswered, and his Manhattan condo was locked up tight. Heather's illusions of a luxurious partnership with Raymond quickly deteriorated. Her finances were meager compared to the lavish lifestyle she aspired to. She hated feeling powerless, but she found a new wave of determination rising. If Raymond wouldn't come willingly, she would force his hand. She carried his child, after all. He couldn't ignore that forever. Summoning her usual flair, Heather arranged to intercept him outside Lockwood Enterprises headquarters. She waited in a black SUV, tinted windows concealing her. The moment she spotted Raymond's car pull up, she hopped out, intercepting him near the lobby entrance. His face blanched on seeing her. He glanced around, anxious about any employees or paparazzi that might be lurking. "Heather not here," he hissed. "We can't do this in public." She folded her arms defiantly. "We can and we will if you keep dodging me. I'm pregnant with your child. I need financial support, emotional support, something." Raymond rubbed his temple, exhaustion etched in every line of his face. "Heather, look, this is complicated. Cassandra left, and my entire life is upside down. I'm trying to fix one disaster at a time." Heather's eyes flashed with anger. "Oh, I see. My child is a disaster in your mind." She let her voice rise slightly, ensuring a nearby security guard overheard. "You can't run from your responsibilities, Raymond." He winced. "I'm not running. But let's be honest, we never planned this baby. You said you were on birth control." Her lips thinned in fury. "Well, plans change. You think I want a child with a man who can't even keep track of one family, let alone two. But here we are. He exhaled sharply. I'm not dismissing you. I need time. I have to figure out how to salvage my marriage, or at least come to terms with it ending. Let me contact you in a few days. We'll talk calmly. Heather stepped closer, her voice a low hiss. You have 1 week, Raymond Lockwood. 1 week to show me a plan for how you're going to support me and this baby. Otherwise, I'll go public with every detail. Your texts, your hush-hush credit card receipts, everything. A flicker of panic crossed his features. Fine, 1 week. She turned on her heel and strode away, the clicking of her heels echoing through the lobby. Raymond stood there, a swirl of dread swirling in his gut. He had lost Cassandra, and now Heather threatened to drag his name through the mud even more thoroughly. Never in his life had he felt so cornered, and time, as she had made clear, was ticking away relentlessly. For Cassandra, retreating to a quiet lakeside inn owned by a distant family friend was the best decision she had made since leaving. Tucked away in upstate New York, the place offered tranquil views of forested hills and gently rippling waters. Here, no paparazzi lurked, no curious neighbors whispered. She could rest, gather her thoughts, and prepare for the arrival of her baby in peace. She spent her days strolling along the lake, letting the crisp air soothe her frazzled nerves. Each step felt like a small act of defiance against the heartbreak she endured. The inn's owner, Margaret Mills, an old acquaintance of the Harrington family, gave Cassandra space but also warmth when needed, like leaving fresh flower arrangements by her room window or offering homemade blueberry muffins in the morning. One afternoon, Marjorie Lawson arrived unexpectedly, bearing a small suitcase. I'm moving in for a few days, Marjorie announced with a grin. You're not facing this alone. Cassandra pulled her into a tight hug, tears of gratitude forming. Thank you, she whispered. I've felt so isolated. Together, they created a routine, morning walks, midday naps, and quiet evenings chatting by the fireplace. Cassandra confided her lingering fears, her worry about raising a child without the father's presence, her anger at Raymond's betrayal, and a strange longing for the life they once shared. Marjorie, rummaging through her purse one evening, revealed a folded envelope. Philip Marshall gave me this, she said softly. It's from Raymond. Cassandra's stomach lurched. She gently opened the envelope, discovering a handwritten letter. Inside, her wedding ring glimmered, taped to the final page. She scanned the lines, reading Raymond's pleas for forgiveness, his vows to leave Heather, and his desperate longing to fix everything. Despite her fury and sorrow, a lump formed in Cassandra's throat. She traced her fingertip over the ring, remembering the day he placed it on her finger with so much promise in his eyes. Marjorie watched, concern shining in her gaze. What will you do? Cassandra closed the letter, exhaling slowly. I don't know yet, she admitted. Part of me wants to tear it to pieces. Another part of me, I can't deny I loved him. Maybe still do. But how can I trust him again? They sat in silence by the fireplace, the crackling logs echoing the tension in Cassandra's heart. The baby stirred, a light kick in her belly, reminding her of the new life she carried. The days of sanctuary provided time for reflection, but the final decision remained elusive. She needed more clarity before she could decide if Raymond deserved any role in her future, and whether she dared to let her heart trust a man who had so catastrophically betrayed her. Edward Harrington, Cassandra's father, had quietly orchestrated a meeting with Raymond. He could see his daughter suffering, and though he despised Raymond's actions, he believed both sides needed a mediated conversation. Perhaps, if only for the unborn grandchild, a semblance of civility could be forged. They convened in Edward's Manhattan office, a place known more for philanthropic negotiations than personal drama. Thick carpets muffled footsteps, and towering windows offered panoramic city views. The tension was palpable as Raymond stepped inside, face drawn, posture slumped. Edward motioned him to sit. "Thank you for coming," he began, voice cool but measured. "I won't pretend I'm happy about any of this. However, Cassandra is my priority, and I know you're the father of her child." Raymond swallowed, nodding. "I appreciate you meeting me, sir. I'm truly sorry for the pain I've caused your family." Edward studied him for a moment, then tapped a folder on his desk. "These are legal documents. Cassandra's lawyers have drawn up proposing a formal separation agreement, child support terms, and certain constraints on your interactions unless Cassandra chooses otherwise." Raymond's hands shook as he flipped through the pages. He saw the stark reality spelled out in legal language: alimony, custody schedules, prohibitions against contact with Heather if it endangered Cassandra's well-being. Does she want a divorce?" he asked, voice barely above a whisper. Edward's gaze softened slightly. "She's undecided, but for the sake of her emotional and physical health during the pregnancy, she's protecting herself. You must respect that." Raymond exhaled, rubbing his forehead. "I've cut ties with Heather," he said. "I told her it's over, but she's pregnant and she expects support too." A flicker of anger crossed Edward's eyes, quickly replaced by a stoic calm. "So you have 2 children on the way. Quite the predicament you've created for yourself." He paused, shaking his head. "Raymond, if you care about my daughter at all, do the decent thing. Step away from public drama. Don't hound her with phone calls. Show you can be responsible, not just a smooth talker." Guilt gnawed at Raymond. "I'll sign whatever documents Cassandra needs. Pay whatever amount is required. I want a chance to make things right with her, if she'll have me." Edward nodded, pressing a pen across the table. "Then sign, and we'll see how she feels in due time." Raymond scrawled his signature on the pages, each stroke a painful acceptance of the consequences. As he stood to leave, Edward looked him square in the eye. "I love my daughter more than anything. If you ever raise her hopes again only to destroy them, I promise you'll regret it." Swallowing hard, Raymond nodded. In that moment, he understood the gravity. Forging a path to earn Cassandra's forgiveness would be the hardest undertaking of his life. If he failed, he'd lose not just the mother of his child, but every last shred of dignity he had left. Heather Williams, meanwhile, discovered that her high-stakes play for Raymond's devotion was slipping out of her control. He had grown distant, limiting their conversations to curt financial arrangements. "I'll set up a trust for the baby's expenses," or "talk to my lawyer about anything else." Gone was the playful banter or the illusions of romance. She felt resentful and cornered. One afternoon, she confronted him at the offices of Lockwood Enterprises once more. This time she didn't bother with subtlety. She marched right into the executive suite, ignoring the stunned stares of staff. Raymond jerked his head up from his desk. "Heather," he muttered, "this is not a good time." She slammed the door behind her. "We need to talk now." He gestured for her to lower her voice. "What do you want?" Heather's face was set in grim determination. "I'm not letting you walk away with a token trust fund while you skip off to try and rebuild your marriage. I'm pregnant, remember? You're as responsible to this child as you are to Cassandra's." Raymond sighed heavily. "I'm aware. My lawyers are working out the details so we can handle this decently." Heather advanced, eyes blazing. "Decently? There was nothing decent about how you seduced me, then turned your back. You made promises." He raked a hand through his hair, frustration boiling. "I never promised we'd be a family." I was reckless, yes, but I won't be emotionally blackmailed into a relationship that doesn't exist. I'm stepping up financially. That's all I can do right now. She regarded him with a bitter smile. You think your money will solve everything. But guess what? It won't fix the scandal if I decide to spill details to the media about how you juggled 2 pregnant women at once, how you tried to pay me off. Don't push me, Raymond. He stiffened. Are you threatening me? Heather shrugged. Call it what you will. I want more than hush money. I want a comfortable life for myself and my child, and at least some role from you that isn't a monthly check in the mail. If you're not going to be with me, then be a real father. A wave of despair swept over Raymond. I will support my child, he said carefully, but I won't be manipulated into a relationship for show. My lawyers can arrange co-parenting terms once the baby's born. Heather's eyes brimmed with angry tears. You'll regret this, she warned. Don't think your precious Cassandra can save you from the fallout if I decide to talk. She stormed out, leaving Raymond trembling with apprehension. His entire life had become a minefield. One false step, and everything he'd built could explode. As he stared at a darkening sky through his office windows, he wondered if even the greatest show of remorse could salvage the heartbreak and havoc he'd unleashed on 2 unborn children and the women carrying them. 2 weeks later, fate intervened on a chilly afternoon at the Lakeside Inn. Cassandra was resting in her room when she felt an unusual cramp. Panic set in. She was only in her 7th month, too early for labor. Marjorie rushed in, finding Cassandra doubled over in pain. It was a harrowing moment. An ambulance was called, and paramedics quickly whisked her to the nearest hospital. Word reached Edward Harrington, who immediately informed Raymond. Without hesitation, Raymond sped upstate, heart pounding. He arrived at the small regional hospital, hair disheveled, eyes wild with concern. A nurse recognized his name and guided him to a waiting area. Edward, standing by a vending machine, glared but said nothing. Eventually, a doctor emerged, explaining that Cassandra had experienced premature contractions likely triggered by stress. They managed to stabilize her, but bed rest was mandatory, and caution was crucial. Raymond felt his chest constrict. He blamed himself for the emotional turmoil that might have endangered Cassandra and the baby. Desperate to see her, he approached the hospital room, uncertain if she'd allow him inside. Cassandra, pale and exhausted, lay against white hospital sheets. She looked up as the door creaked open. When she saw Raymond, tears brimmed in her eyes, though her expression was guarded. Marjorie hovered protectively nearby. Wordlessly, Raymond approached the bedside. "I'm sorry," he whispered, voice unsteady, "for everything. Are you both all right?" Cassandra took a shaky breath. "The baby is stable for now, but I have to stay here until the doctors are sure. It was too close," she said, her voice cracking on the last word. Raymond sank into a chair. "I'm so sorry, Cassandra. I never meant. I never wanted you to be hurt or frightened." Anger and sorrow flickered across her features. "But you did. You shattered my heart and put this baby at risk." Her hand reflexively rested on her belly. He bowed his head. "I know. If it's any consolation, I've ended things with Heather. Completely. I've signed every document your father gave me. I'm ready to give you space, or do whatever it takes if you'd consider letting me be part of our child's life." She studied him through tears. Pain still lingered, but her love for him wasn't something she could switch off like a light. "I'm not sure I can forgive you," she admitted, but I don't want to hold on to hate either. If we can find a civil path forward for our child's sake, maybe one day I can learn to trust you again. But it won't be easy." Raymond nodded, tears shining in his own eyes. "I'll do anything. Take all the time you need." Cassandra closed her eyes, exhaustion overwhelming her. For the moment, no further words were said. But in that hospital room, amid the beeping monitors and sterile walls, a small ray of hope flickered, fragile but real. Whether it would bloom into genuine reconciliation or fade under the weight of past betrayals remained to be seen. Cassandra spent nearly 2 weeks in the hospital on strict bed rest. Raymond remained close by, slipping into her room during visiting hours to bring fresh flowers or read her favorite novels aloud. Slowly, the tension between them thawed, though the pain lingered like an unhealed wound. Marjorie and Edward kept watch, ensuring that Raymond respected boundaries. During that period, Heather's threats loomed, but her public revelations never materialized. Rumors suggested she moved to a quieter city, possibly deciding it was safer to wait for Raymond's financial support than to wage a public war. Lockwood Enterprises stabilized somewhat after Raymond issued a statement confirming he was stepping down from day-to-day operations to focus on personal matters. Investors, while wary, appreciated his candor. When Cassandra was finally discharged, she agreed tentatively to return to the Hamptons estate, but only under the condition that Raymond temporarily move to the Manhattan condo. She needed a familiar environment for her final trimester, but didn't want him around every hour. He reluctantly agreed, recognizing it was part of earning back a modicum of her trust. Back home, Cassandra found Lucinda and the staff had prepared a cozy, stress-free environment. The grand bedroom she once shared with Raymond felt different, but at least she was no longer running from painful memories. She found strength in organizing a small nursery, letting herself feel excitement for the baby's future, despite the uncertainty with Raymond. They maintained a cautious truce. Raymond visited on weekends, always calling ahead and never overstepping. He arranged specialized medical care for Cassandra and engaged a legal team to formalize joint custody terms with Heather once that child was born. Step by painful step, he dismantled the illusions and deception that once defined him. As her due date neared, Cassandra noticed changes in Raymond that sparked a glimmer of hope. He seemed humbler, more patient. He apologized daily, never pushing for quick forgiveness, but showing genuine remorse in his actions. The staff, once cold to him, began to nod politely when he arrived. Even Edward acknowledged that, at the very least, Raymond was trying to rectify his mistakes. Finally, on a crisp autumn morning, Cassandra went into labor. Raymond, who had stayed overnight in a guest room at her request, rushed to her side. Together, they brought a healthy baby girl into the world, Charlotte Rose Lockwood. The moment Cassandra heard Charlotte's first cry, tears of relief and joy overwhelmed her. Raymond, holding their daughter with trembling hands, felt an indescribable wave of gratitude and sorrow for nearly losing this precious family. In the weeks that followed, they navigated night feedings, diaper changes, and baby smiles. Cassandra allowed Raymond to stay longer, to be part of Charlotte's everyday moments. It wasn't a complete restoration of trust, but a fragile, hopeful beginning. For the first time in ages, Raymond felt the sting of regret, tempered by redemption. He had torn his marriage apart, but perhaps, with unwavering commitment and honesty, he could piece together a future where Cassandra and Charlotte felt safe and cherished. Only time would tell if that vision would flourish, yet for now, they stood together at the threshold of a second chance. And so, this tumultuous chapter in Raymond and Cassandra Lockwood's life draws to a tentative close marked by heartbreak, betrayal, and the precious gift of a newborn child. Cassandra's choice to remove her wedding ring and leave forced Raymond to confront the darkness he had invited into their marriage. By nearly losing everything, he discovered the true weight of loyalty and the price of neglecting love. Will their fragile reconciliation grow into genuine forgiveness? Or will the ghosts of past mistakes forever cast shadows on their future? Only time will tell if Raymond's remorse can heal the wounds he inflicted, and if Cassandra can truly trust again. If you've been moved by this story of a millionaire's betrayal, a wife's courageous choice, and the power of regret to spark redemption, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more riveting tales that mirror the raw, unfiltered dramas of real life. Thank you for watching.